Bonjour Franck McCourt.
Bonjour.
Thanks for being with us today. October 17th, 2016 is an important day for you and for OM. That's the official day you became the new owner of the club. Shortly after, Rudi Garcia was appointed head coach and Andoni Zubizarreta became sporting director. They signed their new contract with the club. It's fair to say that it's a strong sign of stability for the club, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. One thing I've learned over the years in sports is that stability and continuity is very important. I think too often people make rash decisions because they're unhappy with this or that, and so they get into they take a sharp turn left or a sharp turn right, or they stop with their project. And I think it's a big mistake because it's important to have a goal, set your eyes on the goal, and stay with the program. And of course, there's going to be ups and downs along the way, but the continuity and the stability is very important.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay,
I'm very proud, I'm very happy.
I think, our work is not done, but I think we've made good progress in the last 2 years of providing a foundation. And it's not just with Rudi and Andoni, as you point out. It's throughout the organization. And Jacques-Henri is providing great leadership in the front office, and then Andoni and Rudi on the sporting side. And we need stability throughout the organization. And again, we need a shared goal, a shared vision for where we're going, and then we need to roll up our sleeves and do the work.
Let's roll back in time. There is something I would like to show you, actually.
We have a project. We call it OM Champion Project. We will build a championship caliber team. That is a team that can compete year in and year out for the championship. We aim to be a model team when it comes to giving back to this great city of Marseille.
2 years have passed since the takeover and this press conference at the City Hall of Marseille. Are we in the place you expected us to be 2 years back?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and I think the framework that we laid out 2 years ago gives us a good way to gauge that. And if you look at the 4 pillars of the project, of course we have a long way to go to win the championship, but I think we've demonstrated that the team is more competitive. We have a program. We've rejuvenated the development program. Just opened a new facility for the young players. Brought with the work of the association and bringing all the clubs together and all the young players having one formula, one program throughout, so there's consistency as well. And really investing heavily in our development operation. That's an underpinning of what's happening with the professional team. And the professional team, of course, we had a great year last year. I think it shows what's to come in the future. But again, sports is very difficult, and we have to fight every day because nothing can be taken for granted. So I think we're making good progress with all 4 pillars, but our work is never done. And this is important as part of our culture, that we understand that every day we need to do better than the prior day. And just that continued, relentless push to get better and better on all 4 of these fronts is what will eventually allow us to achieve our goal. If you rush things, though, when you put up the walls and the roof you refer to without the foundation, then one strong wind and everything is down and you're starting over again. And this is back to your first question about stability and the idea of putting a strong foundation in place and then building and continuing to build. And if you build strong enough, you can put a second story on and a third story on and a fourth story on that house. And if you do a good enough job, you can actually then start to furnish the house in the way you want to and really begin to fine-tune things. But you can't get there without putting the foundation in place. And to me, this is what we've established. And now we move into phase 2.
Let's watch something again. and it's OM against Leipzig.
Il y a Maxime Lopez sur le côté droit tout seul, le voilà servi Lopez avec Dimitri Payet. Payet pour Thauvin. Thauvin qui remet pour Dimitri Payet qui va provoquer à l'entrée de la surface. Payet à la surface de libération. Quatrième but, Dimitri Payet. Allez Mitroglou. Joue ce ballon pour Maxime Lopez. Maxime Lopez.
Doucement.
Avec Hiroki Sakai. Il est personne.
Le but.
La qualification de Rugby de Marseille. Marseille qualifié pour les demi-finales d'Europa League.
I like the.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. When you took over the club, Marseille was 13th in the league, and last season we reached the final of the Europa League, as we showed on the screen. Did you think it would happen, that fast? After one complete season only.
I didn't really think about it in those terms because we certainly didn't set a goal of being to the finals of the Europa League. But the goal we set was to be better than we were, and that's the goal we continue to set for the club. And if you set that type of goal, then great things happen. Then you start to gain momentum, and you start to believe, and great things can happen. And they certainly did for us last year. But again, this year, it's a new start, building on the foundation, and we need to fight. We need to fight every day to get better. So, we have the big goal, and we need to keep striving to achieve that big goal. Along the way, we'll have our great moments, our milestones. We'll also have our setbacks. That's the way it is. But I was, really happy with what we achieved last year. I still get goosebumps watching the film because it showed what's possible. I almost started fist pumping again just watching the film. So it's just the way it is. And again, as the steward of the club, I also need to be a little bit more level because I can't get way up when something good happens or way down when something bad happens, because we need, again, going back to your theme of stability, part of stability I think is a steadiness, a steady leadership, and I think that's part of my responsibility is to provide that kind of that balance in that steadiness for the club.
It was an amazing season, last year, and obviously it raised a lot of expectations. How can we expect, the fans, to understand that, it's a long-term project as well?
I think we have to keep reminding them, and we have to keep on putting in the effort. But the idea is to have a big ambition, a big dream, a big goal, and go for it. And to me, this is what Marseille is about. It's about the big dream, the big idea. And for Marseille, it's not going to be a straight line to the top. It's going to be an up and down line. That's life, right? This is Marseille. I think is very it is something very special because it really is very reflective of reality. I think what our fans want, though, as we go through our ups and downs, is 100% commitment and 100% effort. Are we getting better? Are we really getting better? Is the project working? If we're getting better, then we can sit back and say, okay, we're making good progress. That doesn't mean we should just relax, because maybe we can make even more progress. If we're not getting better, we need to say, okay, let's step back. Why? Making the finals of Europa League, fantastic, but our goal is Champions League. And our goal is to get into the Champions League on a regular basis. So we need to be focused on that and stay focused on that. And there are different ways there, right? So we need to just be very resilient, very purposeful, and just keep driving for our goal.
From the outside, some, the media or the fans, they sometimes, question, the success of the project. How would you like to reassure them of the solidity of this project, the OM Champions project?
Yeah, I think results are important. I mean, I think it's important that we communicate to the nation, to OM Nation, what we're doing and why we're doing it, to be very transparent, to show the results, to show the progress, because it's here. It's all around me. The positive changes and the energy and so forth. But we can't be quiet about this. We need to be very open with our fans and talk to them every day. And I think the idea of engaging our fans using the tools we have in this day and age with digital media and so forth is very important. And getting their feedback is also very important as we proceed. So this kind of transparency in the relationship we have with the fans and a very honesty. So if something's not right, we admit it and we fix it. And we don't pretend, And if something is working well, then we all can enjoy that and celebrate that. And because this is the idea of OM Nation is that we're all in the project together. It's not my project or one another person's project or just the people working for the club's project. No, it's everybody's project together, especially with the fans. And then, as I say, when things are working, we can smile, enjoy it, and get excited.
I know we have a big project around the museum and the surroundings of the Orange Vélodrome. What can you tell the fans about this project?
Yeah, one of our goals has been to gain control of the Vélodrome and the environment around it. For a club like OM, it's very critical that we control our environment. The Vélodrome is amazing. It's a fantastic stadium, but it's missing a little bit the personality of OM. And I think now that we've reached an agreement and we're in the final stages of documenting that, we'll be able to go to work to make improvements for our fans that will, I think, directly improve the fan experience. And one of the things we'd like to do is to create a real home for OM fans, and something that is an attraction of sorts, something that on the one hand showcases the great history of OM, on the other hand provides something that's entertaining and interesting to fans, and maybe even attracts new fans. And then also, I'd like to see a component of the project be really the public face of OM, a place where people can come in and engage with OM, and our community efforts can be there, the foundation can be there, and people can come in and learn about OM and learn about the projects that we're doing and learn about the things we're doing in the community. So there could be things that relate to football, but maybe other things are about education or about art or about music or something else. We want to enlarge what it means to be part of OM Nation. Of course, first and foremost, we're a football club, and our goal is to win the Champions League. But we also are part of a community here, and so we want to be very open and accessible as an organization to everyone in Marseille and even visitors to Marseille.
The Orange Vélodrome is going to be run by OM in the near future, actually. What would it bring, to the club, this exploitation of Orange Vélodrome?
The way things have been operated, just by way of example, in the past, it's when it's match day, OM moves in and kind of makes it ready for a match, and then when the match is over, OM moves out, and then the Vélodrome sits. It's think of it going back to your analogy about the home. There can be a building that could be your house, could be very nice, but until you move in and make it feel like your home, it's not your home. And this is what we need to do with the Vélodrome. We need to move in permanently, and so that our fans come and they know they're at the center of gravity for OM. They're at the OM's home. You know, that very, very special place, what I call the other cathedral in Marseille. And you add to that this attraction that we're talking about and put them together so that fans can come in and begin to get into the stadium, tour the back of the house, understand what the player experience is like, maybe get out on the pitch and so forth. It begins to bring the whole thing to life for our fans. Again, accessibility. Bring the fans in so that they can touch and feel. At the end of the day, they're the ones supporting, right, the club. So we want to bring them in and let them feel very, very much a part of that, not just on match day.
Which type of football fans are you? Are you, watching the game, all alone? You prefer to stay in your bubble, or do you prefer, to watch the game, with people that surround you, your family or your close ones?
It's a combination. I love to have family and friends and other fans around me. But when the match starts, I like to watch the match. So I like to always go to the match with somebody who likes to talk to other people, so that I can watch the match, because it's for me as a fan, I love watching the match, and it's of course I have responsibilities in doing what I do, so and I'm a social person, so I want to be polite and social and so forth, but I figure there's a lot of time to talk before the match, there's time to talk at halftime, and there's time to talk after the match. During the 90 minutes, I really like to enjoy it and take it in, so that, as I say, as most fans, I think, really, prefer to do. They want to watch what's happening, and take it all in.
This is before the game against Leipzig, but I've read that you came to the Vélodrome during Euro 2016, and you were quite impressed, and you loved the atmosphere during that game between France and Germany, I think. Tell us of the story of what happened during that match. Actually, how did you feel?
I wanted, in a discreet way, to come to Marseille, begin to understand and learn about Marseille and the people in Marseille, and then also really begin to feel what the Vélodrome was all about and what the possibilities were with the Vélodrome. So yeah, I attended the match against that France played against Germany. It was a great match, tremendous environment, great ambiance. And I loved it, and I was told by many people that if I thought that ambience was good, wait until you come to an OM match. So that's how people think about it. If you can imagine that an OM match has greater energy even than a huge match when France is playing Germany, for European Cup. So it really spoke to me about this kind of emotion and passion that the OM fans have for the club. And I was happy I did that, because it gave me a sense of Marseille, of the Vélodrome, of what I was getting into before I actually agreed to buy the club. So believe me, I've done a lot of due diligence on a lot of projects. Not too much due diligence is as enjoyable as going to that match, however.
OM is one of the most important things in the city of Marseille. How would you like OM to work with its community, and especially through its foundation?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think OM has a big responsibility, and the OM nation, you know, all the fans, all the Marseillais that support this club, we have an obligation back to them. And that is to be of course, a source of great sport, great football, great entertainment, you know, really something that people can focus on and enjoy in their lives. But I think we have a bigger responsibility to give back to the community in ways that maybe only OM can. It's about the football, I understand that. But there's also other people that we can touch in ways that the foundation has already said that we want to touch people, you know, around things that matter to them too, like jobs, you know, like have opportunity, like education, like cultural things around art and music and so on and so forth. And I think these are important things. I really believe it's an important part of our responsibility to give back to the community that supports the club with such passion and such loyalty.
Jacques told us that, you know, recently that he knows more of Marseille and he loves the city. What have you discovered in those past 2 years about Marseille, and that's something you really like?
The people, you know, I would say number one. I find the people very very down to earth, very straightforward. It's interesting to me because before I purchased the club, people said to me, "Oh, wow, you know, Marseille, it's very complicated, and the fans, you know, are very, very passionate, you know." And I was saying, well, why would you want to be a steward of a club where the fans are not passionate? It makes no sense to me. I grew up in a place, you know, in Boston, Massachusetts, where the fans are very passionate. The city is very complicated. I get that. It's okay. I feel very comfortable in a place like Marseille because it's a lot like the place I grew up. It's not a particularly wealthy community, but the people are rich. You know, they really are. They love life, and even with all the struggles that goes on every day, they're still happy and generous. You know, everybody should be so generous, in my opinion, as Marseillais. You know, people in Marseille have been very, very good to me and my family, and very welcoming, and I'm very grateful for that. The goal is to own the club for generations. You know, that's my hope. You know, I can't guarantee the future because I don't control the future, but I can tell you what my intention is, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that a reality. And my children love the club and hope that that's the case. They're very invested emotionally, and our goal is to own the club for a long, long time.
How would you want OM to be on October 27th, 2023, in 5 years' time?
In 5 years' time, I may be a little ambitious with this, but I would like this OM to be known as a champion in 5 years' time. I'd like OM to be known as a top club in Europe, and one that is respected throughout the world, and one that represents first and foremost a top football club, but also one that's recognized throughout the world as a club with a heart.
Merci Franck McCourt.
You're welcome.
Come on, click here, hit subscribe.